world of changing oceans and in climate extremes, uncertainty is no longer the exception. It's the rule. How do we predict the future with such large uncertainty? Can we account for so many unknown variables? This is the story of 1 year of my life trying to navigate this uncertainty. In science, in the sea, and in my own future. My name is Pablo Alfonso Fuenzalida Miralles, and I am the 2024 Australasian Scholar of the Our World Underwater Scholarship Society. This last year has probably been one of the most exciting years of my life. I've been able to live out my wildest dreams and turn ideas into reality by supercharging the amount of resources I have, the network I have access to, and ultimately, the skills I'll take into the future. I've fallen in love with studying the ocean, with understanding its deepest secrets, and questioning everything about it, including its physical properties, why animals live where they do, and move when they do, and if these species can adapt to current and future changes in their climate. The idea that you can make a career out of learning excites me, and it's something I've always strived towards ever since I started studying 7 years ago. So when I learned that I was going to have a year of life-changing activities, I began preparing to make myself a better scuba diver, a better communicator in science, and to continue expanding and improving my capabilities as a marine ecologist, both in the field and theoretically. I've always wanted to spend time at sea, so at the beginning of my scholarship year, I headed down to the land of the great white sharks in South Australia to spend 1.5 months with Rodney Fox Shark Expeditions in Port Lincoln. They have a 34-metre long vessel, the MV Rodney Fox, and sometimes host science trips run by Professor Charlie Huveniers. He tags these sharks using various different tracking techniques, from high-resolution CAT cams, satellite trackers, as well as external acoustic transmitters. He then uses this information to understand how these sharks move in and around the area, both with fine-scale and broad-scale movements. While I was in South Australia, I was also lucky enough to swim with sea lions and observe the Australian giant cuttlefish aggregation. These are the largest cephalopods in the world, and we get to see some really beautiful courtship behaviours in winter while we were scuba diving with them. After spending quite a bit of time working topside, I decided to get underwater, deeper, to further my skills as a scuba diver. So I headed to Nusa Lembongan in Indonesia to undertake my dive master training. Becoming a dive master is something I've been wanting to do for quite some time, because not only does it enable me to lead scientific research groups for universities, but it also opens the door to tourism, which is another possible avenue for my future. Trying to encapsulate so many different skills under one course was hard, but given the fact that I dived 28 days out of 30, I'd say that I gave it a pretty good job at becoming a better diver. It was incredible. It was the first time I discovered drift diving, muck diving, deep diving, and so many other different diving scenarios. To be learning in such enduring conditions where upwellings and downwellings can occur at any given time, better prepares you for any future scenario, which is exactly what I wanted as a scuba diver. And it was incredible to be doing this in the Coral Triangle, one of the most biodiverse places on the planet to see marine life. To have perfectly clear water, get 50 meters visibility, see mola molas and manta rays for the first time in my life, and do this while learning was incredible. I became a much more confident diver and realized that if you manage risks underwater, you mitigate the likelihood of ever having a problem. Now that I had built the baseline skills needed to become a bird marine scientist, I figured it was about time to start doing some marine science. So I headed to one of the birthplaces of science, the Galapagos in Ecuador. I had a friend there named Ashley Elterbelly, who's an absolute weapon in the field and currently lives on one of the islands. She'd just begun her PhD studying bacalhau, the Galapagos grouper, a very large fish that spawns, aggregates, and lives in the archipelago. Although we know various different things about other grouper populations across the world, this species in particular has been quite understudied due to its remoteness and inaccessibility. Therefore, not a lot is known about their behavior, biology, and ecology, which is some of the questions Ashley's trying to answer during her doctorate. We've also heard them vocalizing on acoustic recorders deployed in the field studying other animals, but we have no idea why they vocalize when they do. So she set out to answer some of these questions, and luckily for me, her fieldwork aligned with some open time during my scholarship. So I headed out into the field to spend 20 days on a remote caseta managed by the Galapagos National Park. We spent our time fishing for the bacalhau to try and collect blood samples, deploy an acoustic array, as well as try and tag some of these animals to understand their residency and movement in and out of these aggregation sites. It was an extremely enlightening experience that introduced me into the world of fishery science and how hard it is to actually just get one sample out of a fish and work in remote locations such as inaccessible and restricted islands in the Galapagos. My next experience took me to my home country, Chile. I was headed to Las Cruces in the Asociación Centro de Investigaciones Marinas, hosted by the Universidad de Católica. Dr. Alejandro Perez Matos runs a marine ecology lab called the SUBE Lab that performs subtidal research. I was very fortunate to meet some at a fish conference years ago. Their research captivated me and encouraged me when I got this scholarship to reach out to them and see if they needed a hand doing any of their work. So I put my newfound diving skills to the test. Using my new dry suit and recently gained confidence, we spent 3 weeks in the field doing a lot of ecological survey dives, which was absolutely incredible. It was fun being underwater in a temperate reef that I had no ecological knowledge of, but it was harsh. Chile is not known for its glamorous diving. Most of the time it's 5 to 10 meters visibility and 11 to 14 degrees. So you're either in a very thick wetsuit or a dry suit. Those harsh environments create good divers, and everyone that I encountered was incredible underwater. The research lab also participates in mesophotic reef diving using technical HOLIS closed-circuit rebreather systems. And although I'm not a rebreather diver just yet, I was able to help analyze some of the footage and data they had collected on various trips in Patagonia and Galapagos. One of the most exciting and unexpected experiences I got to do this year was work with marine mammals for the first time in my life. Something I never thought I would do this year. From connections within the scholarship and a very generous, open and kind Dr. Keith Stafford, I was put in contact with whale biologists and oceanographers working in Chile. They study various different marine mammals, including fin whales across the entire continental coastline, including the northern Atacama Desert. They've been doing this for the last few years and have built up quite a large repository of data. They're at the stage in the project where they need some help analyzing this data, and when I reached out to them, I mentioned I could code pretty well, and I was interested in learning new analysis techniques. So, they introduced to me their data and I began playing with it. I was absolutely ecstatic. I learned how to work with high resolution, accelerometer, gyroscope, and depth data at a very fine temporal scale. Learning to process this data has been a monumental effort that I'm still not finished completely understanding. So it really helped when they offered for me to join them in fieldwork in the Atacama for a month in March. I flew back to Chile and headed to a tiny little fishing town that none of my family had ever heard of, Caleta Chaneral de Aceituna. It hosts some very interesting topography, an underwater canyon that feeds an upwelling system embedded within the Humboldt archipelago. This archipelago is home to the best diving in continental Chile. It's absolutely spectacular. We spent the month actively tagging, tracking, and collecting various biological samples from fin whales. I learned so much from these intelligent scientists there, including a plethora of knowledge about marine mammal behavior, how important drones are for answering various population level questions, how to deploy and retrieve these tags using very high frequency radio trackers and satellite transmitters. I've learned a lot this year about myself and the future. I've realized that trying to predict everything is an uphill battle. Sometimes it's possible and other times it's not. The best thing I can do for my future is prepare. Prepare for the unknown. Prepare for what's most likely to come. Prepare for what I love doing the most. And that's being in, around, and protecting the ocean. I am so thankful to the Our World Underwater Scholarship Society for giving me this grand opportunity. The list of friends and colleagues that I've accumulated in the span of 12 months is absolutely astounding, and I'm not sure I'll get a year similar to this in the near future anytime soon. So thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. This includes Jane Jenkins, Andrew Fox, Scott Portelli and the entire Swimming with Gentle Giants crew, Dr. Alejandro Perez Matos, Gabi Tomas and the Sube Lab, Dr. Susanna Buchin, Dr. Carlos Olivara, Dr. Kate Stafford and Dr. Josh Stewart for teaching me a lot of tips and tricks about whale biology in the field and for connecting me, Fran Perez, Sofia, Vale and Fran Cook. Lastly, I want to thank all of the sponsors that make this scholarship a reality, and that includes Rolex, Tabata Australia, Tusa, Waterproof, Mako Eyewear, The Fourth Element, and everyone else who's helped donate money, gear, time, or resources to help this dream come true for so many scholars, not just myself. For now, I aim to finish various projects I started throughout the year, and hope to dive into my newfound skills and passions discovered in marine conservation leading into my future.